Yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Olympus. We're going to do another one of our Lego and life sets as we continue building the Lego World Cup trophy. This is what we were doing last week. We kind of did this outer kind of detailing. Okay, and in the first one of these we had this little guy with his little version of the World Cup trophy as well. So we're going to be carrying on with that. We are on bags 9 and 10. This week the topic is going to be essentially just around the fact that you should never stop learning. But I'll get into more detail of that in a moment. But let's begin. Let's get back to where we were. We use my little bookmark. Let's put that there for now. Throw that over there. Don't worry, I do tidy up afterwards. That's over there for now. Okay. That one down there as well. Looks like it's going to be another detail-y set, this one. That's all the pieces out of there. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? We'll start here and then I'll get into my topic of the day, which, as I said, is surrounding basically the idea of never stopping learning, every day being a school day, that sort of thing. Two of those. Okay, so basically, it's one of the most important things you can do in your life is to understand that you don't know everything. It's a thing that you learn as a child. Where do these go? Here. Basically, as a sort of a teenager, you pick up actually. As a child, you kind of do accept, I don't know anything about the world. And as a teenager, you for some reason develop the attitude that you think you know everything, and no one understands your plight, and nobody's been through what you've been through. Which I don't really understand why we pick up this attitude, but we do. And some adults never really drop that attitude. But I'm saying the important, what today's video is about, is basically about the importance of dropping that attitude, of accepting that you don't really know a lot about things. You might know a lot about a certain topic, but in terms of everything there is to know in the world, people know surprisingly little. There's always something you can be learning about. Whether it's a new language, whether it's I've kind of got a few examples written. So the three big ones that I've picked today are space, history, and sports. But I'll go through them one at a time. So in terms of space, obviously we're learning new things about space every single day. The various different missions and various different sort of companies working on doing space kind of travel and things with space. So basically accepting that you know nothing about space, like you'll know some things about it, but you'll basically know what kind of documentaries and films know. Like they may be a bit more in the know because they can obviously have contacts with people like companies like NASA or companies like SpaceX, or even Blue Origin, or what's the name of Richard Branson's? What is it? I can't remember, Virgin Space, something like that. I can't remember the name of that one. But yeah, so they'll have contacts there, so they might be a bit more in the know than you are. But basically accepting the idea that you know very little about something, always being willing to learn new things or be taught new things, is a very, very, very good skill to have. Because of the fact that if you are able to come into a room and basically go, I know nothing, teach me everything you have, it does a few great things. One, you might actually learn some stuff, even if you do know a lot about the topic. Some other people might have a little insight that you're unaware of. So you might actually pick something up. Two, you'll make other people feel great, so they like to spend time around you, which is obviously great, because human connection is a very important thing, and is a thing that tends to get forgotten about in today's day and age. The importance of human contact and human connection. But if you then, so obviously making them feel good when they spend time around you is a good way to make them want to spend time around you. And then the other thing it does is it makes them more likely to listen to you. If you basically go in and tell them, let's say you go into an observatory, stick with space for now. Let's say you go into an observatory and you go in and you're like, oh, I know everything, you can't teach me anything, to the workers there. They're not going to respond too kindly to that, because that's kind of their job to know about things. So if you go in and go, oh yeah, that thing you spent your entire life working on, I know more than you, and I'm a, you know, whatever you are. You might know a lot about space, and you might be able to teach them a thing or two, maybe, but basically accepting that they, if you assume that they know more than you until they prove they don't, is a great way to live your life. If you wanted to, so that kind of brings me back to the point I was making, which is that if you kind of accept that you know very little, you'll always learn something, and you always have the potentially get new sort of ways to look at the world, and ways to think about things, and ways to interpret different bits of the world. And trying to think of a good example. So say, I guess I can use one from my own life. I don't care about politics whatsoever, but I appreciate other people do, so I'm willing to let them talk about it, and then that's how I learn about, that's how I keep up with kind of the news, and that's how I keep up with the news and keep up with the different bits that are going on in the world. It's just from listening to other people talk, because I know they know more than me, so I don't particularly try to get involved in conversations surrounding politics, because as I've said, I don't care particularly strongly either way on anything to do with politics. But yeah, if you just accept you know very little about things, if we stick with space, you go to an observatory, you accept I'm here to learn things, and then you can, obviously, you'll learn things. If you accept that you don't really know anything, you can use it in a more sinister way, I suppose, if you are that way inclined, in that you can basically get people to sort of reveal things to you as well. Because obviously, if you're sat there being really quiet, kind of listening because you're learning, or you're trying to learn about things, the people might give away information that you could maybe use against them, or use to plan a surprise for them. Like say you're sat there and you're listening, they're rambling away, and you're learning about a person. They might reveal that they really like a certain type of ice cream. So, you know, they might like salted caramel ice cream in particular. And then they say they've got a birthday coming up, you can get them a thing of salted caramel ice cream, for example. It's another great use of basically always being willing to learn new things. 8 of them? Crikey. Right, basically on all the red ones. Well, 16 in total actually, because you're building 2 of them. So that was space, and then history is another great one, because obviously you might be an expert in one area of history. So say, for instance, you really like, for instance, I like World War II history. So if you spend all your time doing World War II history, there is, like, World War II, 6 years is a fairly long period of history, to be fair. But when it comes to actual, the grand scheme, oh god, where's that just gone? Oh dear, oh there it is. That'll keep it fast, helpfully. Where did that go? I don't actually know where that went. Okay, right. Then we want that there. And that one. So yeah, World War II, as interesting and as fascinating as I find it, when it comes to like the grand scheme of history, there's actually, you know, 6 years is nothing in comparison to how long the world's been around and how long people have been around, all in all. So there's, you know, someone might be an expert in samurai history. So if you're, you know, let them talk about samurais, you can learn about how cool samurais were. Or you could learn about how cool, you know, the Wild West was, for instance, or plethora of other bits of periods of history. Like, every day should be a school day, really. Every day you should be able to look at the end of the day and go, what have I learnt today? What did I pick up, or what did someone teach me? And then that is a great way to live life. Same with sports. There's millions of sports out there you could learn and look into. Where do these go? There. There. And then. So let's say you are. Well, the World Cup's just finished, so football's kind of relevant. So football is a great one. If you are able to. So obviously you might know a lot about football, but when it comes to rugby, you might know very, very little. You might know a lot about rugby as well, because you could be into both, but there'll be a sport out there that someone else is really into that you are not into. So then if you basically shut up and let them, you learn a new sport, and you might end up really liking that sport. If you just sit down to watch a sport, basically trying, it's kind of mixed linked in with trying new things as well. Always being willing to learn. But it's kind of just the idea, though, of accepting that you know very little about the world. And there's always things you can learn. Which way do these go? This way. So yeah, just accepting the idea that you know very little about how the world works in terms of... You might understand how kind of the world... There's a whole thing of money makes the world go round, which is true, sadly. But if you are able to kind of understand that at the end, money doesn't really make the world go round. Well, there's loads of science about what makes the world go round, but in terms of what actually makes people... If you think about the moments in your life when you've been truly happy, it's very rarely the money itself that makes you happy. It's normally the people you're around, or the kind of the circumstances that money might have been able to provide. Like, there's all that old thing of money can't buy happiness, which is technically true. Money itself can't buy happiness. What money does is basically enable you to not worry about things and enable you to go and do the things that make you happy. Which is why money, basically the answer to that question of can money buy you happiness is indirectly yes, directly no. You can't buy a thing called, happiness, but what money does is basically enable you to go and do whatever makes you happy. So if whatever makes, let's say, what makes you happy is going to, going to a steakhouse, for instance, money you'll be able to go there to a steakhouse and have a nice juicy steak. You can get a nice 24-ounce fillet or something like that, and have a very nice meal. Very jealous now. I'm quite hungry now. Nothing quite beats a good juicy steak. But yeah, basically, back to the point of the video. If you sit down and you accept, I know very little, or there's a topic that you're kind of interested in but you don't know a lot about, and kind of your ego has been getting in the way of you being able to go and learn because you don't want to admit you don't really know a lot, just shelve your ego. That's kind of what a lot of things teach you, is that, so for example, the gym is a place I love because your ego can only take you so far in there. If you want to get as big and as strong as you physically can, you're going to have to at some point bench your ego and accept that you either don't know anything. So in the gym you can go and talk to other people. For example, the PTs there, that's kind of their job. The people who work at the gym, it's their job to help you. Or you could talk to the other gym goers, or you could just go online to Reddit, for instance, might offer some useful tips, or we've got some tips on the channel, and they're going to have some guides in the future that you could pick up if you wanted to kind of learn in a more discreet way. But the gym is a great example because it forces you to shelve your ego in order to be able to... God, good thing I double checked that then. That would have been incorrect. Building. I almost built the exact same thing on either side, and that would have been wrong. This one. Okay. I feel I've built this wrong. No, I haven't. I just flipped it around, which threw me off. Put that in the middle. So yeah, so the gym, for instance, it forces you to shelve your ego, which is what basically being willing to constantly learn does as well, because it forces you to accept that you don't know everything, and that is a kind of, when you do it, at first it feels quite uncomfortable, but then when you've actually done it, it makes you kind of feel a bit quite good inside, because you're learning things, and obviously your brain loves to learn. And your brain loves learning new things, and if you're able to learn as many new things as possible, kind of like a big dragon hoarding all the loot, kind of Tolkien-esque dragon. If you're hoarding all the loot in one area, which is the equivalent of like your mind hoarding all the knowledge in places, then you're able to end up being like a really good person to know, and you'll end up with quite a few friends. You obviously Obviously, I hope they're friends with you for more reasons than just they like the amount of knowledge you have. But you always look at like older people as like, oh, they just seem to know everything. That's just because they obviously have been alive for a long time and have never stopped learning. There'll be some old people who are idiots in the grand scheme of things, but obviously they've been alive for a long time, so they know quite a lot of stuff. And if you're able to basically be quiet and listen to them, and especially the entire plot of the Catch Me If You Can film is Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Frank Abagnale, he just shuts up and listens to all these people talk about different things. So for example, the bit of the film I'm up to at the moment is he's just doing the Pan Am kind of pilot bit of his con. That is, the way he's done that is just by being quiet and listening to a pilot tell him through basically how to be a pilot, and that's how he ended up doing his scam, and he ended up becoming a fake pilot, but he's still a pilot nonetheless. Same with the way he's currently becoming the doctor in the hospital, is that he's shutting up and just listening to the other doctors do their jobs, and he's able to con people into thinking he's a doctor. So by being quiet and basically listening to other people, you can end up becoming a bit of knowledge on various different topics, which is all very helpful stuff. But these sets are quite finicky. Lots of very small Technic sets, by the way. This is a tangential point, but Technic sets are a nightmare to build sometimes because of the fact that they have lots of very small pieces that can become very, very annoying if you realise you get one wrong right at the end. There. Okay, now one of you goes here, I think, and 4 of these ones. So yeah, the 4 topics I picked are basically just 4 topics of interest that I have: space, history, and sports. Because I'm always willing to watch new sports. There's sometimes they're really good. For example, NFL. I only started watching because my dad got into it, and I basically accepted I knew very little about this thing, so I'd ask him a bunch of questions, and I've gone into it. It's quite exciting to watch. But there is some annoyances with some aspects of it, but most of it's fairly fine. The actual sport's very interesting. They just have quite a lot of adverts. Is my only real issue with it. But other than that, it's pretty good to sit down and watch an NFL game. Personally, I support the Giants. They've not been doing very well since I started supporting them, but I don't know how well they were doing before then. Because, as I say, I'm not an expert in the NFL. I know they have won the Super Bowl before. I've missed a step somewhere. Supposed to put a gold 2-piece there. Okay, that one there, and then we go that one there, and then one of you goes there. Right, then on this side bit, that one there. Apologies, I'm going quiet. I want to focus, make sure I get this right. Because, as I said, it's quite finicky. Not as annoying as Technic, but because you've got to make sure you line up all the holes and everything, otherwise the entire thing doesn't work, and it's very annoying when that happens. Right, and then the other side. I assume I'm doing the same sort of thing. Okay, that one there, that one there, one there, you there, you there, you there. Right, now which side do you go on? This side, I think. Do you know? Okay, so it's got On the top it's got the green, so it goes this way. So that bit then pops into, should slide into there. It's a tight fit. We in? No, there we go. There we go. We've almost done one side of this trophy. I'll just show you here. There you go. Almost done one side of it. So you can see it's going to be pretty big, to be fair, because that's the front, and that's already the. That's like just we saw what the ball on top to go, and the ball was pretty big. I want to say, in terms of trophies, the World Cup trophy is probably the nicest trophy you could win in football. I know it's similar sort of to the NBA, the one you get for winning the NBA finals, which is also very nice. With football, it's kind of the nicest one you could win, I think, the World Cup, to that actual trophy to hold. It's very nice. But yeah, so back to the point of this video, which is essentially there's, in terms of the grand scheme of the amount of knowledge that is to know in the world, we as humans know very, very little. So always being willing to learn and basically being able to shelve your ego to the point where you then are able to accept someone else knows more than you in a topic. It can be painful at first, but over time you'll just be like, yeah, they know quite a lot, and then you end up learning more, and you end up being happier because of the fact you're not constantly having to have arguments all the time because you are thinking you're right. But that is all for this video here. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you have enjoyed it. But that is all for now, so I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Welcome to the Olympus.